Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Nice to see you. I think Raul is the only person so far I didn't see everybody from that farmer side who are there, but I'm glad to see so many people. So many people. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to briefly talk about what are the field experiment I did last year with all this situation last year. So I could manage doing all these things, basically what I have been doing, as you know, Proso millet, pea, sunflower, and malting barley with Stephen Benjager. And the two additional what I had, just one field trial is the industrial hemp, effect of seed coating on the stand, because hemp is pretty expensive seed and relatively small. So I wanted to see that effect of seed coating and the forage oat. Today, I'll be presenting only pea variety and whatever pea research I'm doing, Proso millet breeding and sunflower. And industrial hemp and forage oat, I'm not going to present. If anybody has any question, they can reach out to me. My email address there are the below. And malting barley, I'm sure Catherine will touch base those. Because of that, I did not put anything, but in brief, I can tell there was a need of malting, winter hardy malting quality barley in this area. Stephen and me and a couple of other guys, we have been working last 4-5 years. We have a couple of lines which are approved for variety release. Seed probably will be available limited scale next year. With this, I'll start with pea. What's going on? Okay. Why pea in Nebraska? Is an excellent rotational crop, as you know, for the dry land production system here. Short season can be planted as early as mid-March towards the eastern side of the state. But here, typically first week of April, but in rarely last week of March. And of course, annual legume, that means you get free legume to the soil. Okay, here is the brief history. I decided to give a brief history of the pea testing, what I have been doing in Nebraska. The reason for that, as all of you probably know, we have pea, lentil, and chickpea council for the Nebraska starting from this July. The major credit goes to Raul and Steve Tucker, but mainly Raul for spearheading that effort. Thank you, Raul, for your team. So pea testing, commercial pea production with significant acre, maybe 15 to 20,000 acres started in 2013. Although we knew that pea is an excellent rotational crop, but commercial production at that level did not start until that time. And that time I realized I should start because that time only 2 or 3 varieties from one branded company were being produced here. That is the time I started. As you see on the figure, 2013 to 2020, and that acreage increased until just recent past. Below you see the varieties. If you know the brand name, the source of those varieties, you will see the number of varieties from Nebraska increased significantly, as well as the genetic diversity. That was my main goal, so that farmers get some cushion for that environmental issues and disease, all sorts of things. Where I started, initially in 2013, I started at Sydney only. And since then, expanded Box Butte County, Perkins, and then further east, I had some role there, but mostly Strahinia and Lincoln, Custer County, Webster, and the Sanders County. So with this, I'll go straight away to, okay, little bit about pea, where Nebraska stand with respect to pea. This graph is last 10 years acreage. As you see, the second line, which is gray, is the top Montana. Next one is North Dakota, very close. And then deep green is Washington State. And Nebraska is just below that. And our USDA data is from 2016. So Nebraska is not bad, number 4. After Nebraska, South Dakota or Idaho, and then Oregon. So that's the national figure. So Nebraska is not really bad, is third, number 1 to 3, fourth in that national figure. What is the new excitement for the pea? As I learned recently, a pea protein fractionation company, AGT, they are giving a premium price As you see on my left side, 25 cents per bushel for 22 to 23% P, $0.50 for 23 to 24%. Anything more than 25% protein, you get $0.75. AGT% told that they may increase even premium price in near future. So Nebraska pea growers must have the high value pea varieties, high yielding, high protein content, possibly high protein quality, which is not in the market, but it will come soon, and maybe less amount of anti-nutritional factors as pea seed has some. So overall goal of my pea project is to identify commercial pea varieties which has high yield, high protein, and high adaptability for the Nebraska farmers. So the last year I put in 3 different locations: Sydney, Box Butte, and Perkins. And the below bottom half clearly summarizes that. There are 3 major companies: Meridian, Pulse US, and Valesco Genetics, Progenes, Legume Logic, and those are comes and go. My bottom right summarizes that all 3 trials. As you see, Box Butte County, average is 26 bushel, protein also high. Next is Cyan County, Sydney, real bad. And you probably know why, because of stress, moisture stress, real bad. I would not value that trial. And Perkins is relatively better. So here is the Cyan data, probably not worth looking because yield is less than 10 bushel per acre. But what happened this year, because of low yield and moisture stress, protein increased. Normally we get 24 to 25% protein, but look this year protein. I put that yellow highlighted. You see that 4th column, protein percent, 27% protein, average protein. But what I can see, the trend of the varieties with the yield remains same. Their quantity, yield amount is reduced because of the environmental stress, but the overall trend, relative variety, relative yield for the different varieties remains same. So that's good to know. Now, I'm sorry, I should have, oh boy. Now I cannot do that. Anyway, this is the state average. As you see, few of the varieties, what I put highlighted, Darude, Salamanca, these are high yielding varieties. The new variety which is coming, AAC Profit, high protein as well as high yield. Darude, Salamanca, both are high protein, but this year everything high protein. Now, should we take 1 year state average? No, here is the 3 years average. As you see, 3 years average, as I said, I have been checking that AAC Profit last 3 years. It is high yielding, high protein. Whereas Darude, Salamanca, although they are high protein, but they are not as high as Profit. But new variety, which is coming, Spectrum, which is from Meridian, the 3 years average is the top, although statistically not much different from AAC Profit. And AAC Profit certified seed will be available this year for the farmers from Roll Russman and from Jeff at Imperial. I started doing some new nitrogen effect trial on pea protein and yield because pea protein is becoming important. So I took one high protein variety and one of the low protein variety. High protein variety was AAC Profit, low protein variety was AAC Carver. 6 different nitrogen at 2 different methods. One is the at pre-plant, another one is split, half, and then 4 replication. And below you can see the number, but bottom line, your top right-hand corner, nitrogen rate or time of application did not have any effect on the protein content. Variety had effect, which is expected. And of course, higher nitrogen gave relatively higher yield. So that is natural. And this project is funded by Nebraska Department of Agriculture Specialty Crop Block Grant and in collaboration with BJS Moharjan, who is here, and Kaustubh Majumdar at Lincoln Food Science and Technology, because our another goal is to assay the protein quality of these 2 varieties. And I do not have the result yet. Next is Proso millet breeding. This is the standard millet panel I use. Make cross, generate early generation breeding population, and slowly filter it, test it. if you remember, in the past, I used to do Colorado, and of course, Nebraska, Sydney, Cheyenne area, and South Dakota. But Akron, I'm not doing last 2 years, including last year, because lack of cooperation from there is no funding. So all this average data from now onwards probably will be just from these 2 states, couple of sites from Nebraska and 1 site in South Dakota. What are the objectives? Select high-yielding advanced breeding line for potential variety release. And some of the breeding projects, we're using different types of breeding population, as you see that F2, F3, and F5, and then preliminary yield trial. Those are the basically breeding trial which will funnel the selected lines for the variety testing. And then I have a graduate student, Mr. Rituraj Khan, and he is doing some graduate research project which will help Proso millet more efficient cultivar development. So notably what he's doing, we have collected all the germplasm from USDA, which is 900 Proso millet varieties. We are screening at Sydney and Scotts Bluff, trying to identify some desired trait which are currently missing in the common varieties. And also we are trying to see whether high throughput phenotyping is possible by unmanned aerial vehicle, basically drone. We are trying to do that. We are trying to standardize. Last year we had some good result. We are analyzing that. We will share that next year. This is the average overall yield. Considering the P, millet did well. Considering the stress is average about 840 pounds from about 1100 to 380. So that is Sydney location. I have same trial at Dual County, very similar yield. The Nebraska average is on the left side table. As you see, there are several lines. As you see, early bar, horizon, above that, there are several lines which are higher yield just this year. Okay, what about regional average? When we consider the South Dakota data also, still there are 4 lines which are above the Huntsman. What about 3 years average, your right-hand table? As you see, 3 years average, there are 5 lines and their pedigrees just next to that, which are the highest check variety Huntsman. And at least couple of that, of course, they are not statistically different, but couple of that I am in preparing variety release approval. So they will be available, probably seed, probably next couple of years. The only difference compared to Czech varieties, Proso millet has a significant cross-pollination. So over time, older varieties get heterogeneous, very variable. So I'm trying to fix that to release uniform variety with a comparable yield or even higher yield. Next is sunflower. I had from 3 different companies, Cropland, New Seed America, and Dynagrow, and 4 different counties. Sydney, Cheyenne County, Scottsbluff County, Box Butte, and Perkins County. Sydney, I had both irrigated and dryland, and Box Butte also both irrigated and dryland. All are oil type. I have about 14 different varieties from these 3 companies. This afternoon, I'm just sharing dryland variety data from Cheyenne County at HPAL. Pretty good. Considering the year, I have no complaint. When I saw the P data, I was pretty upset that same thing would happen to my millet and sunflower, but sunflower average is about 1,000 pounds, not bad at all. Test weight, very average 30 pounds per bushel. So sunflower came pretty good, and probably that is expected because sunflower is known for a dryland crop, Proso millet known for dryland crop, whereas P is not. When a water stress is there, is a problem. With that and all the variety testing result, you will find that UNL CropWatch site. And briefly acknowledgement, I work with BJ's, Cody, Costa Mojumdar Lincoln, and then my crew, Vern, Thiago Santos, who is a Brazilian intern. He was at Sydney from April last year to November. He returned to Brazil. We are trying to replace him this year. Alison and Rituraj, my PhD student. And of course, Strahinia and Dr. Jerry Voleski, they cooperated with the pea testing in that West Central region. Some of the farmers, particularly for pea, is Mark Watson at Box Butte and Steve Tucker at Perkins County. And funding, people who are interested for millet, please pay attention to that. All my funding is probably pea. With that money, little bit, I'm bootlegging and doing the Proso millet. So Proso millet breeding is no funding. I do not know how long I will continue or I can continue. I have been telling the last 5-6 years, I guess this is the way it will be. So expect proportionate progress in Proso millet variety release as well. If you know that there is a private seed company at Ames, Iowa, who are investing $500,000 every year to develop Proso millet varieties. So I cannot compete with them, just for your information. With that, I'll stop here. I'll try to answer if you have any question.